spreading like a coronavirus. Remember Con Air, the bad guy's name was Cyrus.
I didn't remember that, actually. I haven't seen
He was Cyrus
Con
the
Air in a
Virus.
while.
He was Cyrus the Virus.
It's too soon.
He was played by John Malkovich. And if you don't like that movie, you're a son of a gun.
Yep, camera's on.
We're having fun. We're on the run. Eat it up on a hamburger bun.
Okay.
Yeah.
You done?
That's how it goes.
Right.
I mean, I'm not. I can stop.
Got more?
How long you want this to go? We're
stop,
in quarantine. You know?
Yeah. Welcome
right.
to
Quarantine.
the 6-hour Player One podcast.
I don't
Because
mean to
Phil
be
is
mean.
so bored.
So bored.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to talk about?
What?
How you guys
I was gonna
doing?
do the intro.
Well, you were waiting a while there. Was that
Yeah.
pre-roll?
Was that the?
It was pre-roll, yeah. Hello and welcome to episode 699 of the Player One podcast for Tuesday, March 31st, 2020. The month that seemed like it lasted 3 years.
March 97th.
Oh, I'm your host, Chris Johnston, and with me from Canada is Mr. Greg Seward.
Looking forward to my children returning to school tomorrow.
Nah, man, it's got to be at
Not
least
bloody
Easter.
Likely, yeah.
At least Easter.
At least Easter. That's when
We
they're.
take our cues from the United States, so
That's when we're finishing up this pandemic. It's around Easter time.
We're wrapping it up. Yeah.
Yep.
so we can all go to church.
Yep.
Oh Lord. With me also from the great state of Washington, Mr. Phil Theobald.
Oh, hey there.
Hey.
You know what's really bugging me about this pandemic?
What's that?
So you get on the internet because what else are you gonna do?
You finished all
That's
the
your
porn?
first
Is that
mistake.
what's wrong?
Yeah.
That's your first
There's not
mistake.
nearly
There's
as
only-
much on the internet as you thought there was.
There's only so much.
Phil, that's your first mistake though. You don't go on the internet.
What do
Just
you
Just don't.
you go into the internet?
Into the internet.
You
Like
transcend
Lawnmower Man.
the internet.
That's all right. Jeff
So
Fahey.
so you see all these people and they're
Mm.
like, oh, you know, this pandemic is terrible, but you know, being trapped inside the house has given me so much more time to be creative. Look, I've learned to quilt. Or look, here I'm juggling now. Look at all this crazy delicious food I've been making.
Uh-huh.
You know, all this creativity. Look, I've written a dozen songs. I'm gonna play them for you on my ukulele.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have time for that.
Well, I mean, we were just talking about this before the show started, though. You're in a similar position to me where you can work from home.
Well, yeah.
Well,
That's
a lot of
true.
people can't.
Yeah.
I'm still 40 hours a week plus
Yeah.
now I'm back to being a teacher again. Because
That's right.
you know, I thought I
Well,
left
at least
that
you're
life
being paid about
behind.
the same for it this time.
Oh.
Oh, snap.
I'm actually being paid significantly
Yeah,
more.
there you go.
But I was being paid
Oh.
significantly more to just do the 40-hour-a-week job. Now I'm doing the old teaching job for free.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's hard to find things for if you have kids. It's hard to find things to have them do and not like consistently come up and need help.
why don't I get to
Work.
come up with a sourdough starter?
That
You know?
sounds delicious.
I've seen that like a couple times.
Where are my Where are my cute staged photos of my cat? I don't have time for that. I got articles to write.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I got some math lessons to teach.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they started.
Pandemic is bullshit, is what I'm saying.
It's
Wow.
very
strong-
inconvenient for
strong
you. Is that the
words.
problem?
And it's, I mean,
No
it's
one
not,
checked
Strong
with you?
words.
it's not the best.
They've
I've
actually
had
started-
better pandemics.
Really?
Well, I mean, it's all relative.
Hmm.
They started giving out
Pine
tickets
for
to
the
people who
days of
weren't
H1N1.
following- Who weren't following social distancing.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear
protocol.
you, Greg. CJ decided to
I noticed.
That's
Yeah.
right.
They started giving out tickets today. to
tickets
people
for what?
who were not following social distancing protocol.
Oh, so bad
Ah.
tickets.
Yeah.
I thought maybe Moxie
Fines.
Fruvis was playing
No.
some sort
Well,
of
those would
charity
still be
benefit
bad
show.
tickets.
Those are bad tickets in a different
Uh,
way.
But yeah, they started. They officially what they say they've officially moved from education to enforcement.
Oh, okay.
Because people aren't doing it
No, it's ridiculous.
themselves, which is
It's ridiculous.
ridiculous. Yeah.
I had to go to a Target yesterday
hmm
here in the Seattle area.
I haven't been to a Target in weeks.
Well, we were low on supplies.
Yeah, I'm
And,
gonna have to do
I-
that this week.
New
I had to go.
Transformers.
I had to go. Well, I mean, the new War for Cybertron
Yeah.
That's what you mean.
Earthrise series is out, and
You know,
there's
the world keeps moving. The world keeps spinning, even with the
The-
pandemic.
the
you
new
know,
Leader
I mean,
Class Optimus toy. You know, he comes with the trailer now, and he's in like the Earth mode, and he looks really
Does he
cool.
really?
And he does actually, and I
Oh,
wasn't
cool.
planning on getting him, but then I saw some reviews online, and I was
Phil,
like,
how
he
many
actually
things
looks
do you
pretty great.
buy a week
Yeah.
that you're not planning on getting?
Are
Because you
we-
buy a lot of stuff.
You know what?
No, don't say you don't. You do.
Well, I do.
And that's only the stuff you post about on Twitter that I know
That's
about.
a good point.
I do.
That's
Which
a
I
very
feel
good
like there's
point.
I
probably
did get a
more.
box from Big Bad Toy Store the other day that contained a Transformer or two.
Naturally.
Yeah.
So yeah, some things. You got to keep entertained.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't disagree.
it's a
Well,
pandemic,
and the
man.
shelter-in-place order is keeping people away from the Target, so it's easier to
Exactly.
get the hard-to-find toys.
I don't feel like
Exactly.
a terrible parent now when my children spend 3 or 4 hours on a screen.
Although I will say because
Right.
so I did go to the
Yeah.
Target
Yeah.
because we needed food and
Yeah.
toiletries and oh here we go. Look at
I
this.
still have
Look at this.
pack of toilet paper in my car.
Did you ever? When's the last time you bought this
Why did you buy that?
inkjet
printer ink?
cartridges.
You own
Why?
a printer?
I do own a printer. I haven't
Why?
used it in forever.
Why?
Because Finn's school is
Worksheets.
sending out worksheets every.
See, that's something that I
Oh.
really hope the schools here don't do because I don't own a printer.
So now it's like, well, now and I
You
got
can't
to
just do them on your iPad or something. Just
print out
draw 'em?
worksheets.
draw on them. Yeah.
No,
You know, my
No, that's
my
what we
iPad
did,
is an
with
iPad
Charlotte.
2.
Well, good for you, Richie
There,
Rich.
just
Richie
brought 'em up.
Rich.
Yeah.
No,
Should you
you
do it
have
on
an,
your
you have an
iPad
iPad.
Pro?
Is this your daughter's iPad?
Yes.
Yeah, choke on it.
Suck it, Johnson.
Yeah. Jeez.
She could use mine too.
My
Oh,
daughter's
oh.
iPad is my
Does she need
hand-me-down
two?
iPad 2.
She multitasks.
Stereoscopic vision.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Ooh,
yeah.
now your worksheets are in 3D, honey. The pores don't
3D
get
art.
that.
You're going to
Jeez.
graduate this year, but your poor friends aren't.
We'll have
God,
that.
Wow.
We'll have that graduation in Roblox. It's going to be exciting. All your friends will be there. So
I think Charlotte would play that. Yeah.
So I go there to purchase printer ink et al.
Yeah.
And
Isn't it usually cheaper just to buy a new printer?
what you actually, you know
Might
what
be at this
people
point.
It's- sometimes it is.
people have done studies on this. People have
Yeah.
actually looked into that. The printer cartridges that come with new printers are like maybe half full. So
Oh, right.
yeah. So you are not
Huh.
getting a full cartridge worth of ink in the new
See, 'cause
printer.
with my thing, it seems is that in the past 10 years, printers have become very disposable.
Oh yeah,
Mm,
absolutely.
Like I know people who just buy printers when needed and then don't touch them for years and then buy another printer
also,
rather than getting the old one working.
you know what's really nice is because of the pandemic,
Mhm.
the stores are not as
It's a
well
great board game.
they're not as well staffed,
Nope.
and these are
Right.
small, and hoodies got big pockets. And
Congratulations.
if someone starts coming up to me, all I got to do is and book it
That is
so-
cheaper than a new printer.
free. Don't steal.
Free
I'm
ink.
kidding. It's a joke. It's
How
a
could
joke.
but Phil?
Don't
The reason Phil didn't do
shoplift.
that is because even though pockets are big, once that transformer was in there,
Exactly. There's not
You're
much.
not-
This is
I
a
mean,
leader
then it's
class. Those are the
noticeable.
bigger ones.
yeah,
So
it's noticeable.
So, I'm at the store. I'm there anyway. Of course, I'm going to go into the toy aisle. And I
Yeah.
go there, and there are like these three, presumably brothers, hanging out in the Transformer aisle looking at
Coughing?
Nerf guns
Oh,
they're on the opposite side of the aisle. And I'm just like, come on, dude. I don't want to go next
Social
to filthy
distancing.
children, but I also want to see if they got Transformers. So
So I have an adult version of that story
uh-huh.
from this week.
did you give them a talking to though?
Are you at the pornographic shop? Is that what makes this adult?
No, I mean like not adult as in XXX. I mean adult as in functioning adult human.
Oh,
Who's not looking for toys.
Oh, okay.
But no.
How's that shelf of video games behind you doing?
Yeah. I bought all those 30 years ago.
All of those, really?
No, not all of them.
Yeah,
they all came out 30 years ago. No. But it was similar with. I had to go to the bank on the weekend.
Oh, okay.
Go to the ATM.
Yeah.
And the same thing. It's like, well, there's 2 machines in there, but there's somebody in there, so I'm not going in.
Right, of course.
Right? And of course, so there was like 7 of us that were waiting out there and all keeping our distance. But this lady that was in there ahead of me, I don't know what she was doing. I think it was all her banking for the month.
Oh no.
Oh Lord.
And it's just like, really? Like,
yeah.
And I saw her. I could see her through the window, like going through the receipt that the machine had spit out, like the itemized receipt. I could see her tracing with her finger. I'm like, get the hell out of the ATM.
Seriously.
Like, we have things to do. Come on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They had a guy working at Target whose job it was to stand at the entrance with spray bottles, and he hosed down a cart and handed it to you.
Oh, I thought he was hosing down people who were trying to get in. That's totally where my mind went.
No.
The grocery store is the same thing. It's like there's X number of people in here. You can't come in. I've been standing here for 4 hours, and this is my job.
There wasn't. He didn't seem to be like acting as a bouncer. It was purely just we are sanitizing all the carts before we hand them to someone.
Good idea.
And then
those things are good idea on farms.
Oh yeah, and then the self checkout, which is I
taking jobs
self checkout whenever I can. Well, yeah, why wouldn't you?
You hate the economy. So...
Well, oh man, I'll get back to this in a second. But they have another guy manning the self checkouts who hoses them down, spritzes them and cleans them in between every person. Which again,
it makes perfect sense.
Makes perfect sense.
Sure.
But it's still funny.
As I'm standing in line though for the self checkout, there was a regular checkout lane right next to us.
People just lined up shoulder to shoulder.
And they weren't. No, they
okay.
This Target actually had little like stickers on the ground to kind of stand on this dot.
Stand here.
Yeah. Grocery store here does that as well.
Yeah, and people were abiding by it, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the dude who was ringing people up was really damn chatty. And he was loud and very enthusiastically describing to the person who was being checked out about the game Axis and Allies.
Oh no.
And he is loudly and enthusiastically going over how great the game is, his strategies for winning.
Mad strats.
And you could tell that the person who was trapped there was not at all interested.
No.
The person waiting behind him was definitely not interested. And the several people behind them were really, even the people in the self-checkout line who weren't having to deal with this, were just looking over at the guy, and then we're all looking at each other with just, what the hell is this guy doing? Why is nobody stepping in?
Feels like, listen, nerd, I just want to pay for my Transformer and get out of here.
That reminds me
of
tragedy
is
you occasionally
I didn't even get a Transformer. They didn't know
really?
what I needed.
Oh, wow. You occasionally get the cab drivers in like going from the airport somewhere. Usually I had this in Vegas a couple of times where like the cab driver will start on a monologue basically.
Oh,
yeah.
Like at the start of the trip, and it's timed like exactly so that it will end when you get to your destination. So there's no like ignoring it or whatever. And that can be bad. So that reminds
this guy's
me
going to the Bellagio instead of New York. So that gives me another 7 minutes of material I can tack onto the end of this act.
Exactly right.
Remember when we were at Scoop Fest one of those years where we ended up in
I think we
got that
in a cab with years. It was clearly a dude practicing his stand-up set. You remember that?
Yeah.
It was really bad. And
didn't he tell us that's what he was doing at one point? Didn't he tell us he was a stand-up?
He might have. I don't know.
Yeah, he wasn't very good.
No. I also see. Was it racist or sexist? I mean, it was
pretty racist.
That's what it was.
I remember it being very racist.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like, I don't want him to kick me out of the cab. I really want to get where I'm going, so we'll just sit here and.
Yeah.
I
think I was in the front seat for that one. So
you were.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. No problem.
I did get toilet paper though. Target had toilet paper.
That's good.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think when we go back, CJ needs to be in the front seat every time because he is the biggest.
It's true.
He's the tallest by far. He
Yeah,
needs the
tall.
leg.
Let's say
Okay,
tallest.
I'll do
Let's
that.
say tallest.
I'll do that,
Biggest.
sure.
Biggest may not be the best word for us to use anymore.
No.
But tallest, certainly.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How you guys
I'm gonna have to make a Target run this week because we're running a little bit low on like paper towels and things of that nature.
Well, give me a call. I'll go with you.
Okay.
You're not supposed to do that, CJ.
It'd be so funny if that was the reason you guys finally saw each other during the pandemic.
Just
We're hanging out.
to stick it to the pandemic. Yeah. I'm not afraid. If I get sick, I get sick.
I'm young and healthy.
No, thank you. I don't.
I am.
Nope.
I've been planning this trip for months.
Hey, spring break.
Those videos are really
well, you know.
Kids. Am I right?
The kids these days.
Crazy.
Ugh.
Should we talk about video game news?
Why?
I don't know.
Yeah, we're doing.
What's the video game news?
We're almost at 700 episodes, man.
Yeah.
Or some. Yeah, we
We
are.
have to lose at this point.
One episode away from the big 700
700 club. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
you know who hates that?
Who?
The devil.
Oh,
Devil hates the.
I thought you were going to say
club.
Gaming Steve.
Well, gaming. I don't know what happened to Gaming Steve.
Well, he's at 701.
Gaming Steve is at Target yelling at people about Axis and Allies these days.
That's his podcast. His checkout line at Target.
he's got his recorder set up there, yelling about the Axis.
You know how Greg does his in-car little commute thing?
Yeah, it's a terrible idea.
Did it again this week.
Guy's doing. He probably has his iPhone propped up at the register right there, recording his own Patreon show.
Yeah.
Just saying. Well,
I
anyway,
was just saying that about 30 seconds ago, but
were you?
That's okay. It's exactly what I said.
It was literally the joke.
I didn't hear it.
I know you
Sorry.
did. I know.
Anyway, Sony and Microsoft,
those are companies
apparently saying that they're not delaying their next generation platforms because of the coronavirus. The supply chain apparently is getting up and rolling again in China, so
good.
No delay. So
okay,
good.
There you go.
Good.
Yeah,
Excited to play them.
Sure.
Don't know how I'm getting them. Not going to the stores. I mean, I assume by then we'll be fine.
Not going to the stores.
I'm hoping by then we'll be fine.
That's the big assumption there, buddy.
Yeah.
I do wonder if, Microsoft has, both of them now have like a mechanism where you can order hardware and games directly from Microsoft or Sony, if they'll utilize that at all for this
do they really?
machine.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the Microsoft store, you can buy games and hardware. And Sony just launched something maybe like 4 months ago where you can
I wonder if they do that in
order
Canada.
hardware over the web. So we'll see if that comes into play or if
I know
gotta do it from Amazon.
I knew Microsoft had done that with the controllers, the whole design your own controller thing.
The design lab.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I've always told myself I was going to take advantage of that, but I happen to have enough Xbox controllers that I never really needed to. So
yeah. Well, and they keep releasing really cool ones. Like I have the crystal white one that is very nice. I like clear controllers. What can I say?
I hate them, but I missed out. The one I really wish I had not skipped out on was the Forza DualShock. We're talking about Microsoft. That's PlayStation 4 controller.
I know.
Anyway,
I'm saying I like clear controllers, and there's one.
There's a Forza controller that came out for the Xbox One that I really wish I'd grabbed. And now anytime I see them available, when I ever think about maybe dropping some money on it, they're so worn out. Like they're clearly the reason they're selling this because they don't work anymore. Clearly. So anyway, kind of bummed about that, but yep. Special controllers.
All right then. We got a Nintendo Direct Mini presentation last week.
We did.
Yes.
Out of the blue.
I want to talk about a couple of things from that.
Okay.
The big news, of course, in my opinion, is that Clubhouse Games is being resurrected for the Switch after the original came out on DS and was a lot of fun. One of my favorite DS collections there. And they're bringing out a new version for the Switch with 51 games.
23-year-old me is so disappointed in 43-year-old me because I found myself watching that and they're piling on the number of like that presentation. The games just keep coming and coming and coming and coming.
It's got everything.
This looks great. I want this. Like this is, I can think of like it'd be so great, especially in the mindset that, you know, I'm sure a lot of us are in right now, where it's like, you know, was saying before, I have 3 very bored children stuck at home. Having something like that would be fantastic. Yeah, you know, it's like, in fact, I wish they'd shadow dropped it that day. I probably would have bought it. But yeah, like I can, you know, 23-year-old me would just turn his nose up at that immediately.
Yeah.
Stupid casual crap.
Well, some of them, like it looks like it has bowling in there too, which I wonder if it'll be motion control bowling because, you know, I could do that. So that'd be cool if they snuck that in. But yeah, it's got just a whole lot of games.
A ton of stuff in it.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. And it's only $40. So it's like super cheap per game when you break that price out. It's up for pre-order and preload.
Really?
When's it come out?
It comes out in like at the end of May, right?
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, we'll still be in the middle of this by then, so that'll still be handy.
Exactly. And then the other big news, of course, maybe more relevant to Phil, Mr. Driller Drill Land is coming to the Nintendo Switch in the US.
Phil's excited.
This June.
Not just Mr. Driller. Mr. Driller Drill Land.
Drill Land.
Yeah. Oh, man. The best. Translation.
Best, Jerry.
The best Mr. Driller game.
This is
hands down.
I think I own 2 import GameCube games.
Yeah.
And that's one of them?
And Mr. Driller Drill Land is one of them. The
other one is wait. It's the Puzzle Collection.
That's right. Nintendo Puzzle Collection.
Yeah, I know you.
I think I knew that.
I know you. Yeah. I know your body.
That was the one that had whatever became Tetris Attack. Yeah,
Panel de Pon.
Yeah. As Panel de Pon, it has Yoshi's Cookie.
Because I know you guys liked you some Tetris Attack.
And what's the other one that's on there?
Good. I think Dr. Mario.
Is it Dr. Mario? I
think so.
I mean, the important one is it has Panel de Pon.
Yeah.
So,
which I'm really surprised hasn't made more appearances.
Yeah. Puzzle League, as it's known as these days.
The last full release was Planet Puzzle League on the DS, right? And then they also did the Animal Crossing Welcome Amiibo update that included an Animal Crossing Puzzle League mini game.
Does it really?
Yeah.
I didn't know
that. On the 3DS.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
That was I think that was the last time they did anything with it.
They need to get that game on Switch.
They do. They need to put out Panel de Pon on the Nintendo Switch Online Super Nintendo games. They just
that'd be a good start. Or anything would be good too.
Anything. Yeah. Just more Puzzle League, please.
I just renewed my Nintendo Online account today so that people could visit my island. I haven't had Nintendo Online for like 4 or 5 months now.
Oh, there you go.
So you haven't been playing Tetris 99?
No.
Okay. Well.
And it's honestly like Nintendo Online is super cheap. So it's not really that. I just didn't feel the need to renew it when it came up because all I really was using it for more than anything else was the NES and Super Nintendo Virtual Console stuff. And that to me has been a huge disappointment. So I just didn't see the point. But now we get Animal Crossing. Family's in love with it. So
cool. We'll talk more about that a little later.
Ooh. Teaser. I'm so excited about Mr. Driller.
We're going to talk
seriously.
Yeah.
Holy cow. I love Mr. Driller and Drill Land's so good.
Drill Land is a great game.
It's heartbreaking it never came out here. I think it might be getting a physical release in Japan.
Cool.
I think.
All right.
I will import that. I will buy the domestic version, which I'm assuming is going to be digital only. But if there is a physical one in Japan, I will totally import that as well.
Cool.
Such a good game.
There was a Namco Classics collection announced on the Japanese Direct as well, like the Namcot with a T.
Right,
home entertainment.
That I wonder if that'll come here too. I hope so.
What was on that?
I don't remember, but
I'm just assuming that there'll be home games then, right? Because that's what Namcot was.
Namcot. Yeah.
That was.
I know that it includes one of the games that Game Freak did for Namco.
Oh, that is Quinty.
That's
which was released in the United States as Mendel Palace.
Oh wow, Mendel Palace.
I'm proud to say, on my desk at work, a original Famicom in-box copy of Quinty. Quinty.
Was that a sought-after game? Is it a?
Well, it's the very first Game Freak game.
First, yeah.
And
that makes sense. Consider, okay.
Game Freak has done some work for the company that I work for. I don't know if you were aware of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here is Gregory.
This is interesting.
What's that?
I'm reading it. So looks like it's a Famicom collection.
It is.
Okay, so yeah, it has Quinty, you're right, and it has Splatterhouse Wanpaku Graffiti,
which is the chibi Splatterhouse game.
Dragon Spirit, Yokai Dochuki, Family Jockey, Star Luster, Battle City, The Tower of Draga, of course.
Yep.
Galaga, Pac-Man, and Wagyan Land.
Yep.
And apparently it's they're saying with digital release will allow players to select and buy individual games from the eShop. Which they can then display on their virtual shelf however they like.
Interesting. Okay.
And I do love they're actually calling it the Namcot collection. That's great.
And did you see the actual, like, there's a picture, I saw a picture of your digital shelf, and it just looks like a little bookshelf, and like you can display the Famicom boxes on it.
That's cool.
But there's also like little collectible items. So it's like you can actually, they have like, looks like scans of old Japanese magazine covers.
Cool.
That have,
that's fun.
Like, Namco themed covers and stuff like that. Which is pretty cute.
So this will never come to the US, probably.
Probably not, but
that's a shame.
But they could do it. I mean, it's obviously set up to be sold digitally.
Yeah.
Although it sounds like piecemeal as well. So
yeah,
maybe that could happen.
Getting back to the Direct, another Apple Arcade game has come to the Switch, and that's Shin Sakai Into the Depths. So last week we had Exit the Gungeon, which was an Apple Arcade launch game, and now Shin Sakai Into the Depths, which was also an Apple Arcade launch game, and it's getting an update on iOS to match the features that are in the Switch version, which has some improvements.
Keep diluting the value of Apple Arcade.
Okay.
It does. It looks good though. It's like when I saw it, I was like, that's one I'm gonna have to remember.
Yeah.
Pick up.
Yeah, it looks cool. It's like a Metroidvania under the sea.
Yep.
Star Wars Racers.
Metroidvania, is it?
Yeah. Two things I love: Metroidvania and being submerged in water.
Yeah. Star Wars Racer is coming to the Switch.
It's a new lap record.
Now, here's the question I have is because the N64 version and then the Dreamcast and PC version were slightly different, right? Were they
the N64 and PC?
Yeah,
just the visuals.
Just the visuals?
Were they the same tracks?
PC was 3D accelerated, but I'm pretty sure they were the exact same game.
I thought they were slightly different.
I thought they were too, but
very slight. But I don't know. I spent all my time on the Dreamcast version because that was just.
I spent all my time on the N64 version.
Yeah.
I found the N64 version's frame rate was pretty crap.
Oh, well, anything that you had to use the expansion pack, which Racer did.
Expansion pack game.
Was terrible. So obviously the frame rate was bad, but I really enjoyed that game.
I played that game so much.
I played the Dreamcast version endlessly. Actually, that was the very first review I did for EGM.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
The Dreamcast Star Wars Racer. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Then also in the Direct Mini, we got some shadow drops, which I love. I love things that get announced and then are immediately available. And that was the Panzer Dragoon remake. A game called Good Job that was developed by an indie studio and then published by Nintendo. And then we got Bravely Default 2 demo.
Yep.
So
I am very curious about Good Job.
I played it, so I can tell you a little more.
Good. Okay, you'll have to tell me
about it. I think you'd like it.
Don't presume to know me.
Okay.
How dare you?
Okay.
Yeah. It's a new lap record.
So a story out of Bloomberg that I want to bring up here is
straight out of Bloomberg.
So gangsta.
Straight out of Bloomberg, yeah. Apparently, Apple is preventing game streaming apps or collections of games on the App Store. While Apple Arcade is a-okay to have on there, and there are some details in here that I didn't know previously that I thought was interesting. So apparently, they are saying that you can't have any third-party games in a service. So if you're Microsoft and you're launching Game Pass on iOS, you can only put first-party games or exclusives.
Yeah, I thought this was old news.
No, this is not old news.
Okay.
So I didn't know that. I mean, obviously, when Game Pass is in beta testing on iOS, it only has Halo, the Master Chief Collection in it. Whereas on Android, it has a lot more games on it. But apparently, Apple is only going to allow first-party titles or exclusives to be on Game Pass streaming. So that kind of sucks. You can't have a single app with a playable catalog. So there is a subscription service on the App Store called Game Club, which what they have been doing is collecting some of the older popular games on the App Store and updating them for new devices. And then for like a $5 subscription fee, you can play that catalog of games, which is pretty cool. Apparently, though, they had to submit the app over 100 times, 127 times. God. It got rejected by Apple before being approved.
Oh.
And of course, there's no Google Stadia on iOS at the moment. So, I mean, I'm obviously an Apple fan, but I'm pretty disheartened by this because I want game streaming to become a thing. And really, in order to have game streaming, especially like something like Game Pass, take off, you got to be on both platforms. You got to be on Android and iOS.
Yeah.
So hopefully Apple reconsiders. I don't know. I mean, the thing about it that bothers me the most is that they're not this precious about music and video streaming apps. Like Amazon has their app on iOS. Like there's Spotify on iOS. Like there's a lot of other streaming apps on iOS, but when it comes to games, they're locking everybody out. And it doesn't make sense to me because Apple has not cared about games for a long time, and suddenly they are. So it's frustrating. You know what I'm saying?
What?
Huh. Oh no!
He's taking a drink of his Coke Zero.
You don't have anything to say about that? I'm waiting for someone else to comment. You guys don't care.
I agree with everything you just said.
Okay. And still does not care.
I just saw some bad news.
What's
Moscow's lockdown?
No.
That did just happen, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my. No, news out of Japan. Comedian Ken Shimura has died from pneumonia after getting coronavirus. He was in the hospital for the coronavirus.
Kato and Ken?
And this is Ken Shimura is indeed of Kato and Ken fame.
JJ and Jeff.
Which was localized. It turned into a video game that became JJ and Jeff on the TurboGrafx 16. So
wow,
that's sad.
That is.
This just happened. This is breaking news.
Breaking news
from NHK. So
I see.
That's a bummer.
That is a bummer.
Ugh.
Epic Games is launching a new publishing label, and they've got some pretty big names behind it, including Gen Design, or is it Gen Design? I don't know. Anyway,
couldn't tell you.
You're asking the wrong people.
Last Guardian developers.
Yeah. Okay.
Remedy, who did Control
Remedy.
and Alan Wake, and then Playdead, who did Inside and Limbo, are
cool.
The studios that Epic is going to publish games for. So, and they say that those will be multi-platform. Epic will cover as much as 100% of dev costs, which is interesting, and offer partners 50-50 profit share, and they get to keep their IP.
Well, that's big.
Very interesting. That's a big one. Being you keep your game IP and have total creative control. That's big. It's very big. So use some of that Fortnite money to bring some more games into the world. That's great.
Well, all
Good
right
for them.
then.
Yes.
Sounds good. I still can't get the Epic launcher to run on my system.
Really?
That's a shame. That
Just won't run on my PC.
That's really weird.
Don't know why.
And finally, Sega launched a new campaign for their 60th birthday starring Segata Sanshiro's son, Sega Shiro.
Wait, what's the guy's name?
Sega, wait, which one? I just named
the older one.
Segata Sanshiro.
Yeah. Okay.
You wanted me to say it like that?
That's why you asked them to repeat it?
Yes.
And so the guy playing him is actually the actor's son.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah. The son
Pretty
the
neat.
son of Segata Sanshiro's character.
Yes.
The
or the
Segata
actor.
Sanshiro character was like sort of a spokesperson for Saturn in Japan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
For people who don't know. This is
Yes.
pretty famous. Go look him up.
Which raises
Good
the
commercial.
Yeah,
question.
look up the series of ads they ran in.
Yeah.
Oh, they're
It's
amazing.
It was a lot of fun.
They're great.
Amazing ad campaign. The real question, though,
Mm.
who's the mother? Who did Segata
Who
Sanshiro?
impregnated Segata Sanshiro?
Well, I mean,
Wait, what?
the other way around,
Sure, why not?
Greg. I mean,
He was an interesting man.
You should know this.
Who's the baby mama? That's what we wanna
Who's the baby mama?
Yeah. So,
take it to Maury.
Clockwork Knight is my guess.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what else they're going to do because they released a website,
Mm-hmm.
a history website, which is pretty nice.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to sift through the whole thing, but I will.
Oh.
But yeah, I'm curious to see if they're going to do anything else.
And when you mean anything else, you mean like a game or something?
Yeah, like see
So
some
they
games
did-
of some sort.
Didn't they do like a Segata Sanshiro game?
I don't remember.
They did for Saturn.
Yeah.
I know a guy who owns it.
Is he you?
He is me.
Bill T.
He is me.
P. Theobald.
Yes.
He is me.
He is me, and I am
And
him.
him. Yeah.
Ah.
But yeah, I just curious because I think they were saying that this is like the beginning of a year-long.
Yeah, because it's
celebration.
their 60th anniversary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
Yup.
Started importing pinball machines.
Is that right?
Service games.
And Nihon Garaku Busan, I think,
Hmm.
was the other company,
Yeah.
Okay.
merged with them.
Okay.
Began in 1951, all founded by Americans, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Began importing, selling, renting, and maintaining commercial amusement equipment.
Mm.
Well, I think we should get into what we've been playing.
Have we been
Should-
playing anything this week? I mean,
Should we just do like an Animal Crossing bit up front here and just get that out
I've
of
been
the
working
way?
on some material. So
God.
what's this Tom Nook fella? Let me say, boy, this guy, he's a real piece of work. This one over here, hey, I'm gonna sell you a house, and now you owe me money. I'm like a mobster over here. Hey, I'm workshopping.
mhm.
We'll
Okay.
get it. We'll get it.
Yeah,
We'll get
yeah,
there. We'll get there.
Thank God I'm not in a cab or in a line at Target.
Ah,
Let me tell you about
Well
Axis and
played,
Allies. This
Johnston.
game is full of strategy, the likes of which you've never
Strategy.
seen.
Oh my gosh.
Be right back.
If you're looking for something to play while you're stuck at home,
During these trying times, perhaps stepping into the shoes of either the Axis or the Allies would soothe your jangled nerves.
yeah.
So Greg left.
So Greg left, so we can
Let's talk crap about him.
yeah, let's.
So
Should we
Animal
talk about
Crossing.
Animal Crossing?
Animal
up front?
Crossing.
Yeah, I love
about
Animal
it?
Crossing. I like it.
Yeah, I've heard
a
that.
lot. It's a good game.
I've heard that. It's
Yeah.
fine. We're having some fun playing it.
Yeah,
We're enjoying it.
You are. That's good.
Finn's
That's
having a
good.
blast, as I figured he would.
Charlotte as well, and I've
Wow.
been like buying items in my town and sending them to her with notes and things, and
Oh, okay.
she's enjoying receiving those. And
Very nice.
yeah, we're having a good old time. I'm up to the point now where I just built the campsite for new residents to show up at. Get to try new residents while they travel around. So
Well, I
that'll
haven't
open
gotten there
tomorrow.
yet, so thanks for the spoiler.
No problem, Phil. And I built a second bridge, and got the Able sisters moving in tomorrow. So I got a lot of things going on in town.
We have not gotten the campfire yet. We did just get the new residential services building today. So Isabel's around
Isabel's
now.
back.
We did just set up our second bridge, which should be able to. I know Finn threw some money at it this afternoon. I'm going to throw probably the rest of it at it tonight to get our second bridge, and then we can start working on some ramps to get up to the upper levels
without having to use the ladder.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then
nice.
We have
you guys are way ahead of me on this.
The Able sisters are moving in tomorrow as well. So
that's cool.
Very excited about that.
We literally just picked a spot for them to construct Nook's Cranny.
Okay.
Oh, that's good.
That's where we are today.
You're a few days behind, but that's, you know. Hey, but you know what, though? You're not a few days behind, because Animal Crossing, the joy is experiencing it at your own pace.
My kids are absolutely in love with this game.
Yeah.
Like
so is Finn.
More than I expected.
Charlotte.
Yeah.
Are they all playing it together with the multiple Joy-Cons, or how do you?
We haven't tried that yet, actually.
No. Okay.
So how does that? Is it just split? It's just split screen, I assume. Yeah.
No.
Okay. So how does that
work? One
work?
person gets to be the leader, and
that's not going to work out.
The other players use their The other players use their avatars, can run around and collect resources and stuff. But
okay,
I think on the same screen as the leader. Is that?
Yeah, on the same screen as the leader. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This kind of goes to some of the criticism the game has gotten over the last week, where like the first person who starts the game is the only one that gets to do a lot of the things,
right,
and move the island forward.
Yeah.
Whereas
I'm glad I knew about that.
Yeah.
Because we bought the game about a week late.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I knew that going in, because that meant that I was sure to get in and play first, even though I really didn't have a lot of time. Mm-hmm.
Have you played Animal Crossing before?
The original GameCube game. You definitely played, because you reviewed it with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did not remember that.
I haven't been as into any of the subsequent Animal Crossings. The first one I played, I think, every day for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Like I fired it up every day after work. But yeah, I was glad I knew that, because, you know, the kids are home and I knew they were going to dive into that. And if they really ended up liking it, they would spend lots and lots of time on it.
Yeah.
So knowing that sort of everything would be keyed off the first person to start, I wanted it to be me rather than one of the kids, because then there would be this whole issue of, you know, them being stuck because one of them wasn't playing enough or something like that. So
now it's stuck you that are not playing enough. Yeah, but I mean, the good thing about Animal Crossing is that you can basically, any of the advancements in the story or the town development can be done fairly quickly in a day. So like it only takes about a half hour to an hour to really like get things rolling or moving.
And I mean, even though like, so I'm, like I said, I'm further back than you guys, but you know, like to get the museum going, of course, the main player has to donate X. Right. Now, is it, I don't know, 10 or 20,
15.
Okay, items. Wow, I really screwed that up. 15 items to Tom Nook to get Blathers to come and actually set up a museum, but then it's open up to everybody, right? Yeah. To make donations. And it's the same thing with Nook's Cranny, where you had to come up with the resources. So I had done that sort of. I usually play for about an hour, and they watch me play. Like they are really into this. They watch each other play.
Yeah.
And so I had gotten all the different type of wood that I needed to give them as building materials, but I was having trouble getting all the iron ore that I needed to give to them, because it was 30 pieces. So what ended up happening is, in subsequent turns when my kids were playing, they were harvesting and they just buried it all in front of my house.
Oh, that's amazing.
So that the next time I fired it up, they'd still gotten to help, right? So I had exactly what I needed. They asked me how many I had. I told them. They made sure to get enough to make up the difference. Buried it all in front of my house, and then the next time I picked it up, we were ready to go.
That's
so
great.
I mean, there's still been some teamwork there, even
Well, and there's other things like in the resident service building, you can put things in the recycle bin there and pick it up. Have other players pick it up. No other, like if you have online friends that come to your village or best friends and whatnot, they can't get stuff that's in the recycle bin there or inside your house.
That's good to know.
So if you buried resources in front of your house and you invited a best friend over, they could use the shovel and dig that up.
Okay.
Well, that hardly sounds like someone who should be your best friend.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really having a lot of fun with it. I do have there are some things I wish they'd change. Like collecting resources is fine. I usually put a lot of the resources in the storage once you have your house built.
Same here.
You put a lot of resources into storage, but then when you're at a crafting table, it doesn't take those into account. It only takes into account the resources that you have in your pocket.
Right.
It'd be really nice if you could
just pull out of storage
60 or 90 iron ore that I have in storage that I'm not carrying around with me all the time.
Right.
It takes up an item slot. That would be nice. That'd be really nice. I wish there was a way to tell, like if you open your doors for online players to come in, you can't tell if people are still there. And you can't
Does it tell you when people show up though?
It tells you when people show up, yeah.
Okay.
And it tells you when people leave, but you can't tell who all's here or where they are, which I guess is fine. But then they have they use the Nintendo Switch Online app for voice chat and also for typing into the chat window, which is great. This is actually the first time I've used the Nintendo Switch Online app for voice chat, and it works pretty well. But the chat keyboard, it works for chat bubbles, but it doesn't work for other areas where you enter in text, like messages,
like the bulletin board.
The bulletin board, which would be nice. Like the app itself, when you bring up Animal Crossing, it has the icon. It says keyboards plural, but it's only the chat keyboard is the only thing you can do. So I'm hoping that they update and have something there. That would be nice.
I haven't tried the online thing. I saw that you'd sent me messages after the fact.
I did
today, and then when I was on later tonight, I did open it up, but nobody was playing, so we haven't tried that yet.
Okay.
What kind of fruit do you have on your island, Greg?
Cherries.
Ugh. Get out of here.
Cherries.
Well, we have coconuts now too, and pears.
Oh, I need pears. That's the
and
last.
We have bamboo.
Oh, I need bamboo. I need pears and bamboo. That's all I need.
The only thing is I don't think. Well, hopefully by tomorrow, there's only one pear tree right now. Hopefully it'll be mature,
right?
And hopefully the palm trees will be mature.
Yes,
There's like 5 of them growing on the beach.
Yeah.
So and same thing. We have a little bamboo grove happening up in one corner.
Nice.
So I gotta say, for all its faults, and it does have faults, like that sort of thing we're talking about, where it's progression is keyed off of one person.
Yeah,
I'm glad I knew that going in, and I accept that and everything. I am having a blast playing this with my kids.
Yeah,
they're all invested in it.
That's great.
They're all invested in sort of bettering the island, and it's so cool to have their input on what to do next,
or where you place things. I'm sure.
Yeah, well, even little things, because just because when you're early on in your crafting, one of the first things you can craft is a little fire that you can put out in front of your tent or wherever you want, right?
Right.
And then, of course, you can actually craft a big bonfire. So I did that. And then I kind of after a while, when my house was getting a little bit bigger and everything, I was like, well, I want to move this somewhere. And I'm not a person who's ever played these games where I decorate sort of the outside.
Well, you couldn't before, really.
Okay, well, there you go. I didn't know that.
You could put designs down and move some things around, but you couldn't place furniture on the outside.
Right.
Before.
So
it's new.
Now it was kind of as a group, we all decided we wanted to create this little, because then I got the recipe to build a little log stump stool. Right. So it's so let's clear out an area and we'll put the bonfire down there and we'll just put some little stump stools all over the place. This is a place. And so I was doing that, and my youngest was with me, and there was a tree that was really close to the area we wanted to. And I was just like, well, I'm thinking I'm going to cut that tree down. So I cut it down, and I was getting ready to dig the stump out of the ground. She said, wait a minute, try to sit on that.
Oh, right.
And we did. I said, oh, so we have a couple of trees close by. So we just cut them down to stumps and then put a couple of the log trees in too. And this sounds ridiculous that I'm so excited about this, but I love that as a group, we did this. Right?
Another benefit of that
what
is sometimes different bugs will land on those tree stumps.
Also found out that out tonight. Yeah.
So,
So, but anyway, and just little things like I'm looking at my kids' houses and just the way they're decorating, not only the inside, but the outside. And I just love seeing it.
It's very cute. It's fun.
And in the early game too, you get a lot of like outdoor furniture in the store. Like it seems like they're really purposely did that so that you get a lot of outside stuff. And you get Nook miles for using it and placing it and things like that. So you get things like like bigger trash cans and barbecues and like things like that would be outside and not inside.
Yeah, right. Like I kind of, now that we all have houses, I think this little bonfire is going to sort of build up to be a communal like sort of campground here. I assume there'd be a barbecue at some point that we can get. So
yeah. See if you will. Either I go to your town or you come to my town, then I can send you items and stuff through the mail as well. So I can totally deck you out and outdoor stuff.
I did just get with the Nook miles.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I have the big residential service building, they have more elaborate items that you can get for your Nook miles.
Yes.
I've expanded my number of inventory slots a couple of times,
which is great. Now you have 4 rows of stuff.
I can hold 40 items now.
Which still fills up like crazy.
Oh yes. Spoiler alert, I guess, if you really want to be surprised about some of the items you can get. But you can get a giant like faux Godzilla model that you can put up in your town to just have a giant fire-breathing Godzilla monster. And I got the a recipe to build a giant I think they call it a robot hero, which just kind of looks like a transformer.
But man, that takes a lot of resources. It's going to be a while before I get enough.
It's gonna be a while, because first you need to be able to.
I've got a small army of children helping me out. I'll be able to do this pretty fast.
You need to have a rocket, which is an item that you can get that, who knows when I'm going to get that. Gold armor, which, okay.
Yeah. Who knows when that is going to happen.
30 rusted parts.
Which you get out of the recycling bin, by the way.
See, I haven't encountered any.
Okay.
So definitely check that recycle bin because the other residents place things in there and you might need some of that stuff.
90 iron nuggets. 90.
That's gonna take a while.
I think I have close to that.
Oh, do you really?
Have you been going to the other islands, like using the Nook tickets?
I have a few times,
because I find that's been the best place to get the iron nuggets.
Yeah, I did that initially, but then also remember you can use your shovel on any rocks that you have.
Of course.
One of them,
I know, but I find
the bells, and then the other gives usually
clay or iron
nuggets.
I just find that in our experience anyway, the iron is it comes up more frequently. Because there's always at least 3 rocks on those islands.
Yeah.
Yes. And they seem to spit out iron more frequently.
You're right.
I find anyway.
Yeah. It does seem like that.
Yeah.
But and then I think like 10 gold nuggets.
I've only seen one of those, and that was my daughter who got it.
Well, convince her to give it to you.
She sold it.
I can't help you there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
she's not my daughter anymore.
But yeah, it's a fun little game.
Yeah. And I've been visiting other people's islands. I've been really impressed with just the amount of customization that people have done.
Oh yeah.
And the outside decorating, like really getting into it.
I really like that a lot.
Seriously.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. And the Nook Miles thing is great. It really scratches that itch in the same way that, getting points has always worked in like Call of Duty and things like that.
Right.
Where I'm just doing more stuff, especially when you get the Nook Miles Plus and they start popping up those little those little goals up there.
Well, it can help direct you. Like if you're not sure what you want to do, you can just access that menu and see, oh, I can catch, if I catch 3 more bugs, I get 150 Nook miles.
Right.
Yeah. Or you can also ask Tom Nook, what should I be doing?
Yes.
Which is an interesting, I think, new thing where he, tells you where you can, what you can do to expand the services, or like what the next point in the story, quote unquote, of Animal Crossing is. Points you in the right direction. I'll be playing this game for a while, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Should we get into the rest of what you've been playing?
Sure.
Phil, why don't you kick us off?
Well, I guess we'll just do this one, since I know Greg's been playing this as well. Panzer Dragoon. The remake came out
Shadow
for
Drop.
Switch this week.
Yeah.
Yep. And Panzer Dragoon for Saturn. Great game.
Fantastic game.
And now we have it in the Hest of D's.
Yep.
And playable on modern systems. What do you think about this, Greg?
So
I've heard
I was
mixed
gonna hold off on this because of course Limited Run announced a physical version.
Oh yeah.
And normally would think Panzer Dragoon, it's a no-brainer, one of my favorite games. So happy to see a Saturn game getting a remake.
Yep.
I think the game looks great. So and of course they're selling one of the special edition they were selling in one of their Saturn long box jewel cases.
Yes.
So it's like, I might go for this. But then I normally stream on Thursday nights, and the people who normally hang out on my stream were saying, like, would like to see what you think of this. And it's $30. I think it's 25. I don't know what it is in the US. I think I paid 30 for it Canadian. Yeah. So I downloaded and I played it on Thursday night. So I will say, from a visual standpoint, I'm really impressed with the visuals of it. I think that like Panzer Dragoon has a weird visual style.
Yeah.
That's very much all its own. Nothing looks like Panzer Dragoon. And it's always seemed to me that it was really built around sort of the limitations of the Saturn.
Oh, absolutely.
It was very specific color palette. It's very big geometrical shapes to build a lot of the ships and things like that. There's a lot of just floating spires and I feel like they captured that really well. Like, it's still high definition. It's still using a lot more polygons, but it still looks like the Saturn game in a lot of ways, in a lot of good ways. The gameplay, though, man, I played it for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I got to the 3rd or 4th level boss. It might have been the 4th level. It's in the tunnels. Anyway. And I wasn't enjoying myself at all.
Yeah.
And I finally got to the point where I think I died 3 times on that boss. And instead of continuing the 3rd time, I was like, I want to figure out what's wrong with this.
Yeah.
Why does it not feel right? So I actually busted out Saturn on that same stream.
Now, see, this is what I'm curious about, because as I was playing it, I was feeling that kind of sense of disappointment. And I started to question. I was like, man, maybe
was the old game like this, and it just hasn't aged well.
Yeah,
it's not
really. Okay,
no, they screwed it up.
Okay.
So while I was playing, so there's 2 main things that I think need to. Well, go back to this too. The music. Now they're going to update the music in a patch. With new music by the composer of the soundtrack for Panzer Dragoon Saga.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm really interested to hear. The music, though, one of the things that I will say about the sound in this game before I get into the actual gameplay a little bit more is that I'm noticing this a lot with really, especially lower budget games. I don't know if they're not hiring people to balance sound properly, but like it's overwhelming. This game, I found that the music was overwhelmingly loud.
Yeah,
at first. And then the problem is that if you pump that down a little bit, or actually even if you lower the volume in general, some of the sound effect volumes are way too high. Some of them are way too low. Like they just, and there's a weird, the lock on, when you hold the lock on, there's a sound effect that goes with that overpowers a lot of everything else. And you hold the lock up button 99% of the time in this game. Anyway, so I felt the same as you, Phil, but see, difference between you and me is I probably play the original Saturn game once a year.
Right.
So whereas you probably haven't played it in almost 20 years.
Probably.
So I totally agree with you. It's like, am I crazy?
Yeah.
Did it always play like this? And no, it didn't. So I went and I grabbed the original and played it on the Saturn, played the exact same amount on the Saturn. And to me, there's three things that make this really difficult to play and make it not all that enjoyable. One is the lock-on is way too precise. It's not nearly as, you didn't need to be nearly as precise on the Saturn version.
Yeah,
in the Saturn version you can
hard to lock on in this game.
Right. You can sweep the targeting reticle in the Saturn version over a group of enemies and you'll lock on to, like, if there's 10 of them, you'll lock on to at least 5 of them.
Yeah.
No problem. Right? You don't have to be precise. You just have to be in that area.
Yeah.
Not so in the new one. The other thing, as we were playing, we were realizing that the lock-on is much faster in the original version. Like same thing as like if you were to lock on to a single target on a boss, let's say a single target area on a boss, which is like beep, 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 and you'd have like 10 locks or however much the maximum lock was. The new version that doesn't happen. It takes forever to do that. And when you combine that with the fact that you need to be so precise, because the thing with Panzer Dragoon now, apparently there is a dual stick mode that I didn't try and I don't feel like I probably ever will. But the thing with Panzer Dragoon is obviously that it's a single stick game in its original form. So while you're moving the targeting reticle around, you're also controlling the dragon up and down, left and right. And if you get into a situation like there's the spider boss, I think at the end of the second or third level, where it puts these blades out that start to spin and you need to go up or down.
Right.
Really hard to lock on to the target because you're also controlling the dragon. So that was the other thing. But the big thing that got me, that I thought maybe what they'd done is with the reticle in the original or in this remake, is that it's those squares, right? It's a really large square in the front and then further in. And I thought maybe that they had changed the reticle somehow, and that's why it was so hard to aim. But as I played the Saturn version, I realized what the problem is. If you go back and look at the remake, that reticle is an overlay. It's on top of your dragon. It's on top of everything. It sits on a layer above the game. If you go back and play the Saturn version, that reticle is 3D. That reticle is in the world. It goes behind things. And I think that has a lot to do with why it's so hard to figure out what you're aiming at. Right. Because no matter what, it's on top of your dragon at all times. And so that combined with how precise you have to be, it just makes it really hard to play, and it's not enjoyable, especially once you get to the bosses, because the bosses take forever. Whereas, like with the Saturn version, within the first level, you could feel the difference. The reticle passes behind your dragon, so it's in 3D space, and so your perception of the world is also your perception of your targeting reticle. Like if you point it at a wall, it will pass through that wall. It'll disappear behind it. Doesn't happen in the remake. So I think those are the three major issues that the remake has.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I didn't wait. I would be so disappointed at $30. I'm kind of bummed.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully they can fix some of this stuff with a patch, right? Like, you're not the only person saying this. Like, I've seen this across the web. Even GameXplain put out a video about how disappointed they were in the remake.
Really?
Yeah, I think this is a very common criticism, and hopefully that means that they'll address it, especially since they have other platform launches coming up. Like, they're not going to want to release what has been deemed a bad port or a bad remake on the other platforms, I would think.
Especially since they've got Zwei coming behind it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is going to be an even harder game to get right.
Yeah.
And it's an even better game. So if I'd waited and bought the limited edition from Limited Run, and because that's what I would have bought, and I gotten it and played like this, I would have been so upset. Like, so yeah, I don't know. It's a bummer, man.
That is a bummer.
And at this point, like, somebody on my chat made really great points. There was like, Panzer Dragoon Orta is backwards compatible on the Xbox One, and it's cheap. That's the old Xbox game. So that was the fourth Panzer game that Sega released on the original Xbox, which, by the way, has the PC version of the original Panzer Dragoon, an unlockable. Right. You'd be better off to buy that. You're getting a really good game for the Xbox, and you can unlock this game, the good version of this game, and it's cheaper.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you have an Xbox One, doesn't help on the Switch. Anyway, that's how I felt about it. I gather you weren't too crazy about it based on the fact that.
Yeah, I mean, like I was kind of getting at was I was confused as to, is this the game or is it me?
Right.
No, it's the game.
Having rose tinted glasses when it comes to the original, but okay.
Yeah. And I really thought that I was. I really thought that I was to a certain degree as well. I knew it didn't feel exactly the same, but I was like, am I just being too hard on this because this is one of my favorite games?
Right.
But no, going back and playing it, it's just not well done.
Well, that's good to know. And it's a shame.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yes. Also played a little more Doom Eternal.
That's getting mixed reviews too.
Yeah, well, you know what?
Mixed impressions anyway.
People have been complaining about some of the platforming in the game because this one has some platforming, which I saw, when I talked about it last week, I'd only finished the first level.
Right.
And to be fair, so far I have only finished the second level. The levels in that game go on forever. They are long.
Eternal?
No. They are
Doom Turtle.
I swear each one was about probably 2 hours to get through each of those stages. And
hopefully they have checkpoint, right?
Oh, they have ample checkpoints.
Checkpoints. Good.
Ample checkpoints. And I think I talked about this last week as well, where I explore probably a lot more than they want you to,
right?
Or that they intend you to.
I play shooters the exact same way.
Yeah, it's like,
sneak. Well, what's over there? Oh, nothing. Yeah. What's over there?
Yeah. And sometimes it pays off in this game just because there's some cool visuals and stuff. Like, I'm going to sneak around this corner and kind of look off into the distance. And, there's a cool scenario kind of off in the distance where it actually comes into play in the second level. Because kind of early in the stage, spoiler alert, early in the stage, if you kind of look off to the distance, you can see there's a giant mech suit that is obviously deactivated and has been out of commission for a long time. Just like, a gigantic skyscraper size mech suit. And it has it's holding like a giant spear, and it is speared a just incredibly huge demon through the heart. And the demon's like impaled on the ground. And, there's it's like fallen into a mountain, and there's a waterfall kind of flowing by its feet and stuff like that. And it's just, it's a remnant of some old battle that has been standing there for who knows how long. And then towards the end of the stage, you end up you're climbing on that mech and actually going inside the demon's body and stuff like that. So
that's pretty cool.
It's pretty neat. So there's a lot of stuff like that, and it's fun. It's and it's very Doom-ish. And you enter a room and swarms of monsters start coming out, and you're running around dodging and unloading your shotgun into them and stuff like that. But I did start finding more kind of platforming stuff, because it's weird, because you get as you progress, you unlock new abilities and things like that, and there's like the kind of weapon modifiers that I think I talked about last week, but then it's like you get a dash move, so you can do a quick little dash forward, and you can jump, but you have a double jump, and then you can like air dash, And then there are chunks of wall. It's like, oh, there's, walls that have kind of like a kind of torn up pattern in it that you can climb. So if you jump at a wall, or like if you dash into it, you'll grab onto it and start climbing. And then it turns into like weird ass first person Uncharted, where you're like climbing up a wall and kind of leaning over and double jumping and dashing to grab onto this other chunk of wall. And then you got to jump over, and there's a platform that'll instantly drop out from under you, and you have to quickly land on that platform and rotate and double jump and dash to the next platform. And it's just like, why am I doing this? And you make one mistake and you fall and kind of instantly die, and then you end up having to go back to the previous checkpoint, which in some of those cases can be a little ways back. So you're suddenly doing all this obnoxious platforming over and over again, which it sounds like that's not going to let up as the game continues, which is too bad, because the actual Doom parts of Doom are really good.
They're really doomy.
I'm really enjoying them. I did drop the difficulty down to baby level.
That's where I'd start.
And it's still pretty tough. I mean, the game is not shy about throwing a million dudes at you at once, and you're just and they had because you have the glory kill thing, which was in the previous Doom game, where if you have a weakened enemy, they start flashing and you run over and melee them, and you get like a nice animation of you murdering them, and that gets you extra health. You also have a chainsaw that you can occasionally use. So if you have a weaker enemy, you can kind of chainsaw them and they explode into ammo. So you're constantly having to try and juggle, the melee kills versus the chainsaw kills to keep your health high and to keep your ammo refilled, because there's not a lot of ammo around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just got a new power where you have a little flamethrower where you can set enemies on fire, and then when they're on fire, they start spitting out armor. So it's like, okay, so you got to remember I'm going to set these guys on fire to build up my armor, and then I'm going to
sounds like a lot of work.
It does sound like a lot of work, and a
I
lot
just
of
want
like
to point the shotgun and pull the trigger.
That's the thing. So it's like you're
starting to see why this is such a divisive version of Doom.
Trying to kind of constantly resource manage in your head while you have 20 monsters coming at you from every direction. It's like, okay, wait, my health is low, so I gotta weaken the enemy so I can do the glory kill. But oh no, now my shotgun's out of ammo, and I really need those sticky bombs that are the alt weapon of my shotgun. So I need to use the chainsaw. Oh crap, I'm out of fuel, so I need to run around and wait for my fuel to recharge so I can chainsaw.
Chainsaw shouldn't have fuel.
Well, I mean, it's a video game. Chainsaw shouldn't have fuel.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not a lumberjack. This isn't a logging simulation.
Hell's Lumberjack.
Now there's a game I would play on the eShop for 9 cents.
Amen.
Yeah. But so I'm enjoying it, but I could see why people are not, and I don't know, maybe I'll get sick of it after another couple levels, but we'll see. But so there's Doom Eternal. The other thing I got this week was, if you've followed my Twitter account, you will have seen me spoil this.
Mm-hmm.
I got a package this week from the good folks over at Amazon Japan, who turns out I can get packages faster from Amazon Japan than I can from Amazon US nowadays.
Well, isn't US not doing non-essential deliveries at this point?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess the real question here is what we're talking about, an essential delivery.
Absolutely, it was.
Well, and also this was Konami delayed the thing.
Yeah.
Yes. So I've complained in weeks previous about how this darn pandemic is
ruining your buying patterns,
ruining my fun, because my much anticipated, well, perhaps my most eagerly anticipated video game release of 2020, the TurboGrafx 16 Mini, has been, air quotes, indefinitely delayed,
right,
due to pandemic situations. However, our good friends over in Japan were able to get all that stuff released, kind of snuck in under the pandemic wire, so it all got released over there. But hey, guess what? Amazon Japan will ship to the US, and hey, Amazon Japan had PC Engine minis in stock. So I now have a PC Engine mini. Excellent. And my goodness, am I glad I do. I am delighted. Utterly delighted to have this thing.
What'd you play on it first?
What do you think I played on it first?
I don't
even remember what's on it.
I don't remember what's on it, and I'm not a TurboGrafx.
Splatterhouse.
Greg's votes Splatterhouse. CJ?
Bonk.
You're both wrong. You're both wrong.
Is Splatterhouse on it? I don't even remember.
Splatterhouse is indeed on it, and Bonk is indeed on it. The game I played first. Admit,
me saying Splatterhouse is a pretty good guess.
It's a solid guess.
Yeah.
I mean, Bonk is a solid guess too.
Yeah, Bonk's so predictable, though. Bonk's not a Phil thing.
I'll give you this.
Star Soldier thing.
It's a shooter. I played
Star Soldier.
I played an old space shooter.
Blazing Lasers.
Gates of Thunder.
My favorite Knucklehead got it. Blazing Lasers.
Is by far.
Blazing Lasers.
There were better games on the TurboGrafx, but that is by far my favorite TurboGrafx game.
Man,
really?
Blazing Lasers.
Right. Oh, Blazing Lasers is so good.
So good. The graphics are beautiful. The music is amazing.
Yeah.
The power-ups are the best. That number 3 power-up, which is the blue
with the big blue lasers.
So good.
Blazing lasers, if you will.
You bet that was the first game that I played on my PC Engine Mini.
Nice.
So
a licensed game.
Huh? It is.
I think a lot of people don't know.
Gunhead.
Really?
Which
it was actually a license. It's a movie, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, it was a movie. It's a movie game.
Interesting.
They stripped the movie tie-in stuff from the US version, certainly, but that is a licensed game. The PC Engine Mini does have English options for the menus, of course. When you start up the system, you have the choice of languages, so all the menus and everything are in English. You can change the skin of it because it's set up at the skin looks like a PC Engine. The menu screens and everything, so you can change it to look like a Super Graphics. Cool. What's interesting about it is, so as you know, the way they're handling the selection of games is really odd because it has English TurboGrafx games, but also Japanese PC Engine games. So like even the US version, when it comes out, is going to have Snatcher on there, for instance, which is
right. It's almost like they want to curate a list for every part of the world.
Yeah. Snatcher, of course, the Hideo Kojima adventure game.
Yeah.
Never released. Well, I mean, the Sega CD version got released, but it's never released on the TurboGrafx here. So there's no English translation of the PC Engine game. But instead of doing a English translation, just throwing the Japanese game on there. So
I'm okay with that.
Here you go, Americans. Play this game. GameFAQs probably has a translation guide for you.
To me, that's probably the most Konami thing about this thing.
I know, right?
You know?
Yeah. It's kind of, we don't know what to do, so we'll just do this.
Yeah.
But the way it's handled in the menus is that the two regions are separate. So like down in the corner of the screen, there's a little PC Engine logo. And when you boot it up, it's like, oh, here's all the PC Engine games. And you can cycle through them.
By default.
Sure. And then if you go down and click on the PC Engine logo, it will change to a TurboGrafx 16 logo. And suddenly the library of games changes to all the US ROMs.
Makes sense.
So
and then you don't have to sift through a bunch of stuff
Yeah.
that's not in your native language.
Yeah.
I guess.
and then it's really weird too, because it's like if you want to play Bonk's Adventure, the first Bonk game, you have to go into the PC Engine section to play. What is
Really?
it?
PC Genjin.
Yeah, PC Genjin,
Yes.
because they don't have the English version of that game on there. But if you want to play Bonk's Revenge, which is the sequel, you have to go into the TurboGrafx section.
So they just kind of split them
Oh,
up.
weird. Interesting.
Because they don't have the Japanese
That's
version
weird.
of that game on there.
That's weird.
That is weird.
But then like Newtopia
Sega did it better.
or Newtopia 2, if you are in the PC Engine menu, you can play the Japanese versions of Newtopia and Newtopia 2, which is the Zelda game, the
Yeah.
Zelda clone. But it's the Japanese version with all the Japanese text. But if you go into the TurboGrafx menu, the English versions of Newtopia 1 and 2 are there.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So they
that's
kind of
good.
double up the ROMs a bit on some
But
of
not
them.
with
Some
Bonk.
things.
Yeah, but not with
Hmm.
Bonk.
That's weird.
It's weird.
It's very weird.
I mean, I can see it with Snatcher. They
Yeah.
don't want to spend the money to localize Snatcher.
And what's weird is Splatterhouse is a weird one, because on the Japanese versions of the hardware, which is of course the one I have, it
Mhm.
has the Japanese version of Splatterhouse, but not the US version. But when the TurboGrafx 16 comes out here, it's going to have the English TurboGrafx version, but not the Japanese PC
Okay.
Engine version.
Huh.
And the two games have a slight graphical difference.
Uh-huh.
So,
Still better than the PlayStation Mini.
well, of course,
Well, that's
it
not
is.
hard to do.
Of course, it is. but yeah, so it's really weird. And again, like Ease Book 1 and 2 is on there, and that also has the English and the Japanese one. But so yeah, I mean, weird UI choices aside, this thing has some great games. Some
Yeah.
really great games. The controller's really nice. Some really fun games on there. Talking earlier about Kato-chan,
Mhm.
or no, it was Ken who just passed away. Kato and Ken is not on here,
Uh-huh.
but the American version, JJ and Jeff, is.
Right.
Which might have been a
Maybe
licensing
Maybe there was some
thing.
rights issues
Yeah,
around
yeah,
that.
it's issue.
That's the thing with that. But it's really cool because whenever you start up a game, there's a little animation of like the hue card going into the slot,
Oh, that's cool.
and the game starts up. Or if you're playing one of the CD games, you see like the system card, the little Sega, or not Sega, but the CD system card plugs into the slot, and then it brings up the like PC Engine or TurboGrafx CD ROM
Oh, that's
menu,
cool.
and it plays the sound effect of the disc starting to spin up
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
as and like simulating the game loading, which is really cute.
That's
But
excellent.
yes, I played a little bit of Ease, played just a wee little bit of Newtopia.
Newtopia was really good.
Yeah, it really is.
I
It's
really hope
fun.
people rediscover that series.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Played some Blazing Lasers, played some Alien Crush, played some Bonks, played some Galaga 88, some
Really?
New Adventure Island. I played the PC Engine version of Ninja Gaiden, which I had never played before.
So
Interesting.
is that based on the arcade
It is
game?
based on the NES game.
Really? Huh.
Really?
Strangely enough, yeah. And
Hmm. I mean, that's the right time because it came out like 88, 89, right? So that's when the PC
Something like
Engine
that,
would have
yeah.
been really
Yeah,
popular.
yeah. And what the really weird thing about it is, like the SNES Ninja Gaiden trilogy, this version is vastly inferior to the NES.
Really? Oh.
Has significantly worse music.
Huh.
The graphics look, despite like being more colorful and theoretically more detailed, just kind of look uglier.
Okay.
The controls not as good.
It's amazing to me how often that was the case when you consider that, the NES was supposed to be the least powerful. Well, it was the least powerful console. It wasn't supposed to have a good sound chip and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, man, a lot of those games just did not translate to other systems very well. Systems that should have done things a little better. Yeah. But I mean, Ninja Gaiden, that's a masterpiece. I mean,
Well, and it blew my mind too, because it's like, we all know the Ninja Gaiden intro.
Yeah.
The dramatic two ninjas
running at each other. Yeah.
And that very iconic music during that scene, the very kind of dramatic music that leads up to that moment where the swords clash in midair.
Yep.
They not only, I mean, like some of the music in that game is, I think it's the same, just not as well composed, but it's
some of them aren't the same tracks.
It's a completely different song. The intro song is
really
not at all the NES song, which is so perfectly timed to that action and so evocative of the tone of that scene. And you're just watching, it's just like, this is terrible.
But that's interesting.
Yeah, so it's really weird. But yes, there's so many great games. If you like shooters, of course, spaceship shooters, there's a ton of them on here and a ton of really good ones too. I mean, Blazing Lasers, you got Gradius, you got
that system had great shooters.
Yeah, Gradius.
That's one of the things that system had going for it.
Yeah, Soldier Blade is on there. Super Darius, Super Star Soldier. So many great games on there. I even played, because this is on the Japanese version. It's not going to be on the US version when it comes out. One of CJ's favorite old games, Tokimeki Memorial, the classic Konami dating sim.
That's right.
Which has fan translations for the Dreamcast version now.
Oh, does it really?
Versions. I don't know if it's every version of the Dreamcast game or every one of the Dreamcast games, but at least one of them has a full fan translation.
Well, there you go.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's great. I'm glad I picked it up. I'm sure we'll get the US one at some point.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't wait. Oh, I played some Castlevania, of course, Rondo of Blood.
Yeah.
Dracula X, I suppose.
Also so good.
Yeah, another. Again, if you want to talk about the, just the great games there, Dracula X is I would say probably the best of the traditional Castlevania games, right? The non, like Metroid style, the non-Ega-vanias.
I think people would argue that, I don't know, it's pretty much I don't know, man. That's hard to say.
Which one's better?
I think people would argue that
like Super Castlevania
Bloodlines
or Bloodlines. Okay.
Super Castlevania 4, I think. Yeah. And I would even say Castlevania 3.
Really?
They're all pretty up there.
This is not to disparage any of those titles, but Dracula X
this is like saying that, Zelda, this is like comparing Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time. They're both great games.
Right. Link to the Past
saying one's better than the other doesn't mean the other one's bad.
Right, exactly. So, but yeah, I picked it up. It was not significantly more than, I think I paid $120 for it when I think the US one's going to retail for what, 100? Is that correct? Maybe 90?
I believe so.
I don't know. I didn't pay that much more than what the US one's going to cost. So, but I'm delighted
cool
to have it. So that's what I've been playing this week.
All right. Well, from the Nintendo Direct, we got that shadow drop of Good Job.
Yes.
And I am a fan of first-party Nintendo digital games in general. Like, usually can't go wrong.
It's not really first-party, though, is it?
Box Boy, you got your snipper clips, you got your...
CJ's charging right through that.
Yep. Nintendo did not develop this game.
Nintendo did not develop this game. That's correct.
Not to say it's bad. Not to say that that's because Nintendo publishes a lot of great games that they did not develop
on it. But basically, you play. The intro makes it seem like you are the son of a CEO that is sort of a bumbling, failed son.
Okay.
And the graphic style is like stick figures. It actually reminds me quite a bit.
It looks like the Portal videos.
Yeah, it looks like the Portal videos. Yes, all of the sort of Valve Labs stuff that they even do for the Vive. But the Adult Swim game 5 Minutes to Kill Yourself, you remember that? That was set in an office.
Here we go.
Yeah,
anyway,
this is it. Yeah.
It's always a commercial.
Reminded me of it. But anyway, so you play as this sort of bumbling son, and you get a job at your father's company, and it's a physics puzzle game. So I've only played the first floor of the game. It's sort of divided into floors of this office building, and you work your way all the way to the top. And so there's sort of themed levels. So like the first one is like the finance department and legal department are two of the things you have to do. So in the first stage, you go into the projector in a conference room is broken, and you have to get a working projector to that conference room. But the way you do it is by trashing everything in the office to drag this projector over to the correct conference room. And you can use power cords from various things. You can drag them and then use it as a sort of catapult for a larger object to break through a wall or like a glass enclosure for this conference room and get it in there. So the game both grades you on the amount of time it takes you to do these tasks and then how much destruction you've done in the process. And it you want to be fast, but you also want to destroy as much stuff as possible, seemingly. So the first stage I played was getting the projector in there. You have to basically like drag these power cords around and smash a path for your for that to go in its right place. And once you get it in the right place in the conference room, the stage is over. Second one is you have to restore internet access to a particular point by like dragging an internet cord all the way through this floor of the building. And by that you have to like demolish some walls and drag the cord with you around. And the next stage is something about like getting all of the people into a particular room for like a birthday party or something. And so it's all sort of physics based fun where you can knock over things, drag objects around. Like it's there's a lot of like hidden outfits you can wear as well. So like there are things in the environment that you can interact with and sort of have fun with. There's fire extinguishers that you can use just to like blow things out of the way. I'm sure those will come in use in further stages. But it's really got like a lot of personality, even though, like I said, like the graphic style is sort of stick figure. The animation is very well done, and there's emotion, even though there's not any dialogue in this game outside of describing what the mission is that you need to do. It's very expressive, very fun animation style. But I'm really having a lot of fun with it, and I think, Phil, that you would as well.
Is that right?
I think so. It is a humorous game.
I missed, sorry, I'm part of that. Is there multiplayer?
There is, yes. There's co-op.
Okay.
In this, yeah. So you can bust out Joy-Cons and have a second player join.
I'm really interested in playing it.
Yeah. It's cool for sure. It's only $20, so that's not too bad.
I'm even more interested.
I'm always up for that. I also played the online trial of Predator Hunting Grounds. This is a asymmetrical multiplayer game based on the Predator film of the 1980s. Oh, the Predator series, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, only the first one was any good.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true.
But developed by IllFonic, who worked on Friday the 13th, which of course you know I love.
Are you into that game?
I'm into that game, yeah.
Okay.
So I wanted to give this a shot. No real surprise. They had a lot of technical
really liked that one.
That was good.
issues on the first day. So the sort of trial period started on Friday and runs through midnight tonight. They had a lot of server issues, a lot of matchmaking issues as well. So initially, like on Friday, when I tried playing it first, I waited like 6 minutes.
Your best friend Mike's been traumatized by the whole experience.
Yeah, I roped him into playing some matches with me. He did not care for it too much. I don't think. But basically, you have 4 players playing as a fire team. The soldiers who are given like a specific mission, and maybe that's like destroy some satellites or collect some ancient relics, or basically it's like a multi-step path to the end when you have to get to the chopper. Of course, that's the famous
Get to
line,
the
though.
chopper.
Get to the chopper.
Yeah,
like he says in the movie.
Do that at the end of that's the end game for the fire team, to do all the things so they can get to the chopper. And then it's the Predator player's job to stop that from happening. And it is interesting in that the fire team gameplay seems very easy. Like the AI players for the fire team to destroy are complete pushovers. Like they're very dumb AI too. They basically walk in a single file line to get shot. I wish that were a little more complicated than it is, and especially if it seems to scale. Like if you only have 2 people in the lobby as part of the fire team, then they don't send that many AI enemies after you, which can be kind of funny with the voiceover where they're like, "My God, we're surrounded," and it's like 2 enemies come out, which was a little jarring.
To be fair, the people that they shot up in that camp in the original movie were pretty stupid too.
Well, I suppose that's true. And there are things like you have to be slightly stealthy because if the enemies spot you and run to an alarm box, they can call in reinforcements. But even those reinforcements, if you're playing with fewer than 4 players, it's not many. So you do these tasks, get to the chopper. In the meantime, the Predator player is usually above, up in the trees, kind of watching what's happening and picking, the perfect time to drop down and melee you to death. So, but in the beta anyway, the Predator doesn't seem all that powerful. Like it's not like Friday the 13th where Jason
tell that to the Predator.
Where in Friday the 13th, Jason was sort of unstoppable, right? You could knock him out or stun him, but you couldn't actually kill him. In the Predator, you can get killed if you're playing as the Predator pretty easily. Like, so you really have to pick your moment right, and also know when to hightail it out of there. And the Predator has some extra moves, like you can do a long jump to really like get out of the way if you're being quadruple teamed. But I have had a lot of fun with the trial anyway. I'm buying it on PC, of course. And as part of it, like the pre-order bonus is like a Predator 87 skin, which I'm excited about for sure.
Why does the Predator not look like the Predator anymore?
No, the Predator looks like the Predator, but it's like a special skin for the Predator.
Okay.
It's like a throwback skin. But the game does have loot boxes.
Well,
but not that you can purchase. They are sort of things that you earn through the progression of the game, and then you unlock skins and cosmetics and things and stuff for your fire team or the Predator to put on. Various paint, face paint jobs and things. Yeah. There's a lot of cosmetics. You remember in Predator,
like eyeliner and stuff.
You remember in the original movie, the Predator going through his closet of to wear. Yeah, it's exactly like that.
Okay. He's got that little arm gauntlet thing with his little timer bomb. It also has a little flip up makeup mirror.
Yeah, it's got a mirror.
Exactly.
Sit there and
have that still. Yeah.
Get some blush. Some rouge.
Well, you need some color. I mean,
right. Yeah, but I overall,
you need a little more concealer.
It's a really interesting game. I love asymmetrical multiplayer games, as you well know. Yeah, and so I'm into it, and it's a cross-play game, PC and PS4. Okay. Although it's funny, like I normally play on PC with my Xbox controller.
Yeah.
Well, when you start up this game, it does not show the Xbox controller. Instead, it shows the DualShock 4.
Oh. There you go.
Including in the tutorial. So it's like press X to jump.
Nope.
It's like you mean press A to jump.
Oh boy.
For me.
Oh, here we go.
Oh boy.
Or press
jerk.
Press triangle to do this. And it's I have to think because I'm holding an Xbox controller, but I'm being shown the icons for PlayStation.
Yep.
Control pad. Yeah.
Did you pre-order it?
I did. Yeah.
Oh, very good.
The second it was announced.
Not the second it was announced. No.
Did you do it now? It's right here. Do it. Yeah.
When I plug in the DualShock controller into the PC,
now.
It switches the microphone input to wanting a microphone on the PlayStation controller. Yeah. It was very weird. But anyway.
Maybe it thinks it's a Famicom.
Yeah.
Maybe. But
don't
really
enjoyed
my
friend. He's dead tired.
Really enjoyed what I played, but there has been a lot of criticism and hate on the internet because
Sully,
it's not really a typical shooter.
Remember when I promised to kill you last? I lied.
We're skipping around to different Arnie movies at this point.
A Christmas tree.
A light bulb.
It's not a tumor. All right.
Come on.
Anyway, that's what
all I can think of now is the
Greg,
EGM deadlines. I haven't been playing anything else but Panzer and Animal Crossing.
Just Animal Crossing and Panzer.
But they had them answered immediately.
How about we do...
Who's your daddy and what does he do?
Let's do a tweet.
Tweedly diddly deets. Tweedly diddly deets. Tweets.
Rip out your goddamn spine.
I hope you saved enough room for my fist. Because I'm going to ram it in your stomach. Rip out your goddamn spine.
Let's do this one from Hacker Alias.
I want to make sure everyone stays self-isolated. Here I am in my kitchen with my donkey.
What do you guys expect out of the Netflix Dragon's Lair project starring Ryan Reynolds, and has Whimsical Phil played that Dragon's Lair 3D DVD game he bought over a year ago yet? Thoughts?
Thoughts about what?
There's two questions.
That was two tweets.
Yeah. First, Netflix is doing a Dragon's Lair project with Ryan Reynolds.
Yes, my old pal Ryan.
Yeah.
The Ride Dog. Yeah, he
Canada.
I was talking to him about this the other day. He was filling me in on all the hot deets about it. Offered me a role, but I had to turn it down because I was like, listen, dude, I got a quarantine. Oh man, I wish I can't fill out that outfit anymore. She's with these thighs.
You work at it. You could do it.
Yeah, I suppose.
Maybe not in the right places, but you'd still fill it out.
I mean, you've seen Kumail Nanjiani. He's looking, pretty buff these days.
Yeah.
I don't know. We have no details about it. What are we supposed to know?
No details. Are you excited?
I expect it'll be funny.
Hopefully.
I hope it's good.
Is he going to be playing Dirk the Daring?
One would assume.
I would assume.
And if so, will he just be going like the whole time, or will he actually talk?
I think that would be amazing. Especially if it was with the star power of Ryan Reynolds behind it, and it's literally all he's doing.
Go,
that'd be great.
And I hope it's constantly he's like, falling into a pit or something, and we get Ryan Reynolds turning into a skeleton. Yeah.
I hope every now and then the scene reverses.
Yeah.
After he dies, just
Yeah. Oh, like the mirror.
Mirror
flip. Yeah. And I hope we get a spinoff with Tom Holland playing Space Ace.
Space Ace. Yeah.
Or actually, he would be playing Dexter.
Then who would play Space Ace?
Well, Chris Evans. He would bulk up into.
I like it.
Chris Evans' Space Ace.
Yep.
So there we go.
So have you played that Dragon's Lair game you bought?
Oh, absolutely not. Of course not. Don't be silly. Will I ever play it? Absolutely not.
I actually grabbed the trilogy on Good Old Games this week.
Oh yeah, very nice.
On a whim.
Now the game that young Baker refers to, was the DVD release of Dragon's Lair 3, which is not
animated,
which is not really a real game. It is footage of Dragon's Lair 3D. Do you remember this game?
Yep. I remember covering it in EGM.
Was it?
It's by Empire Interactive, I want to say.
And it was a very early HD game, if I remember correctly as well.
Before.
Yeah. So it was just because this was on the original Xbox.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Looking it up, but yeah.
It's just footage of someone playing, which because Dragon's Lair Dragon's Lair 3D. And again, yeah, we talked about this probably a year ago.
Yes.
This was not a traditional Dragon's Lair game in the sense that you're just watching a cartoon and hitting directions. This was a full 3D platformer type game with 3D graphics. Yeah. And it was a traditional kind of just 3D platformer game. But someone had the brilliant idea to just capture footage of someone playing through this game.
Did it have the intro and outro on it? Because those are Don Bluth animation.
Or were they really? I would imagine it does. That would involve me
turning it
into a machine and not just throwing it on my shelf. But it's just someone you're watching footage of someone playing this 3D platformer, but you have to hit up, down, left, right, and action buttons.
Right.
Yeah. So instead of watching a beautifully animated Don Bluth film that you're hitting directions for, you're watching some janky old polygon game that you're hitting directions for.
So was there actually a Dragon's Lair 3?
No.
Because I mean, on Wikipedia they reference a Dragon's Lair 3.
There was not an
Curse of Mordred.
Okay, so that one, if I'm remembering correctly, that was a PC game that is comprised of mostly footage from the arcade version of Dragon's Lair 2.
You're right.
Am I right? Look at that.
It mixed original footage with the scenes from Dragon's Lair 2.
Okay. Yeah, the only like actual arcade Dragon's Lair games were Dragon's Lair 1 and Dragon's Lair 2, which may have had a subtitle. I don't recall.
Time Warp.
Yes, thank you. And then, yeah, when they started releasing those games on PCs, they didn't have the technology at the time to they weren't on CDs.
Well, even if they were, those games were on Laserdisc originally, and not quite the same thing, right?
Yeah. So yeah, they would break up. So like you would buy Dragon's Lair for your PC, but it did not have every scene that was in the arcade game. And then like later they would release what they called Dragon's Lair 2 for your IBM compatible PC. And that would have, I think, just more footage from the first Dragon's Lair game.
Probably.
Stuff like that. So
I'm curious, because I know you're a big Dragon's Lair fan. And
I do enjoy Dragon's Lair.
Did you play the NES? I don't think a lot of people realize that there were NES versions of Super Nintendo.
Yeah, well, there was
a Dragon's Lair on the Super Nintendo.
There was a Dragon's Lair NES
and Game Boy, I think, too.
Yeah.
I
think people, because there was an Angry Video Game Nerd episode about the NES Dragon's Lair, so people know about that one. There was SNES versions of Dragon's Lair and Space Ace.
I didn't know there was a Space Ace.
There was a Space Ace. It's all, kind of like a sort of traditional platformer. They're both terrible.
Really, really bad platform. I remember playing the Super Nintendo Dragon's Lair quite a bit, actually, because I rented it one weekend. And so I was like, well, okay,
they're bad. The Space Ace one is just as bad.
Yeah.
There was a Game Boy, like the old black and white Game Boy had a Dragon's Lair game, which I believe, because it was like a puzzle platformer type game. And I
thought it was pretty akin to the NES game.
No.
Really? I just assumed that.
No, it is. I believe it may have been like an old, like European PC game, like maybe an old Specky game that they just altered. Because I think that's what the Game Boy Bill and Ted game was. It was like, here's like an old Specky game that we're just changing a couple sprites. So yeah, there was the Dragon's Lair for Game Boy that was that, and then Digital Eclipse did a Game Boy Color Dragon's Lair game,
which was actually the video,
which is the arcade version. Yeah. It's it's a Game Boy Color game, so it looks really, compressed and blocky and stuff, but it is shockingly decent.
Capcom released that?
Capcom did release that. Yeah. So, yeah, that was I'm trying trying to remember if Mike, who of course was on our show a few weeks ago, I think he may have directly worked on that.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
I think he did.
Yeah.
Sounds like something he would have done in his spare time.
Oh, absolutely. Very much so. Yeah, clearly it was one
hey,
of
look,
his.
I
Like,
did this.
I did
Who owns
this
the
over the
rights to this
weekend. Yeah, can we talk to someone about releasing this? 'Cause that's just how Mike is. But yeah. So no, I did not. I did. I've not played the DVD game.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
Sorry, do you remember too? Just because we're talking about it, and we got to end the show soon, I know. But do you remember too? Digital Leisure, of course, released all these games on DVD like 20 years ago as well, like where you could actually play on your DVD player using.
I have those.
Me too.
Yeah, and well, the Dragon's Lair 3 that I picked up is Digital Leisure. It's
right.
They
own the rights to it now.
Yeah, they also released Time Traveler.
Yep.
On DVD, the Sega.
That's the one I wish I had. I should go look that up and see if I can find that.
You might be able to find that for. Yeah. It's either going to be dirt cheap or ungodly expensive.
Right. So Time Traveler was the holographic game that was released by Sega.
Yes.
But designed by the same guy who designed Dragon's Lair, Rick Dyer.
Huh.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, he was the designer.
Oh, wow. Game. I did not know that. Yeah. I actually have a because they released Digital Leisure, they in this sentence. Digital Leisure released Dragon's Lair and Space Ace. And they probably did Dragon's Lair 2 as well, because Digital Leisure is not shy about putting those 3 games on whatever system they can.
They put them to work the second they own the rights.
They released Blu-ray versions of them.
Did they really?
Yes, they did. And I picked up Dragon's Lair on Blu-ray just because I wanted a nice copy of that animation. But I have it. My copy is signed by Rick Dyer and Don Bluth.
Cool.
There you go.
And actually, since we're on the subject, years ago at CES, or not CES, but E3, I got to interview Don Bluth and Rick Dyer.
Very nice.
About what they were hoping at the time would become the Dragon's Lair animated movie.
Right.
Which
didn't they do a Kickstarter for that?
They did a Kickstarter.
Did not.
To put together a demo reel.
Oh, right.
That they would use to pitch the idea of a movie to studios.
Well, hey, Netflix.
Yeah.
This is now doing something with
so,
it. Maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, who knows?
Wow, people want a lot of money for Time Traveler on DVD.
Not shocked by that.
See one for $85. See one for $112.
Oh my. Okay.
Here's one's for $65.
Jeez. Okay. I guess I'm glad I still have my copy of it.
All right, let's do one final tweet.
Okay.
Here from Hacker Alias GP9328, who says, "Can you each describe your work from home tech setup?"
I have a computer.
I have a work laptop.
Are you using your personal computer setup or work? No.
I am using laptop. I'm using my work laptop.
Yeah.
I did buy a USB hub.
Yeah.
So that I could plug a real keyboard and a wireless mouse into my work computer. And then I type on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's, and I bought a standing desk, standing desk, which I'm so happy.
Yeah,
I did because I actually have a standing desk at work.
Oh, okay.
And man, I find sitting all day is just not for me at this point. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm happy. But it's more about, like we were saying earlier, it's really more about the 3 extremely bored children.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the real challenge.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, I don't have I'm just sitting at like our dining room table to do my work. And I don't need to really worry about a standing desk because I'm standing up probably every 15 or 20 minutes anyway to do something for Finn or so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Alrighty, and that is our show for this week. Thank you very much for listening. If you have a question for us or would like to comment on something you heard, you can direct that to @PO1Podcast on the Twitters, or you can go to our internet website at player1podcast.com. There you'll find Our contact information and find blog entries about Sega CD stuff from Mr. Greg Seward.
Couple went up there recently. Go check them out.
Nice. You will find Generation 16 episodes as they happen.
Yeah, I'm started
on
actually editing video for the latest episode, which is nice.
Cool.
It's nice to see it starting to come together. So very excited about that.
You will find show notes and links to all the things that we talked about during this episode. And you will also find a link to our Discord server where you can discuss this episode with us and our other listeners.
If you'd like to subscribe to the Player One Podcast, you can do so by visiting playeronepodcast.com or by loading up your favorite podcast application. You can also find us on Spotify. We're on Stitcher Radio. You can like us on Facebook. Everywhere, man. And if you'd like, you can watch us live most weeks on the youtubes.com/P1 Podcast. Here's a hint. It's usually about this time every week, but a couple hours earlier. Because you have to account for the duration of the show that we just recorded. So while you were hearing the outro now, tune in a couple hours earlier to hear the intro, which is like the outro, but it's the opposite because it's leading you into the show.
Also
now we're leading you out of the show. And if you like what you've heard, and how could you? Oh, let me go back. You know what? If you want to know exactly when we'll be doing our live show, follow our Twitter account at P1 Podcast. That's the numeral one, friends.
Numeral run.
Number one podcast.
Numeral run.
Numero one. And that will tell you when we're going to do our next live show, which again is going to be like 2 hours before now as we record it.
We're at now.
When will then be now?
Soon.
History of the World Part 1. Classic Mel Brooks comedy. If you've liked what you've heard, and how could
not
you?
Look less impressed.
How dare he besmirch Spaceballs? I don't know who he thinks he is.
How did we get to a 2-hour show?
I don't know, but the after show better be quick.
Let's go.
So
I don't have to go to work tomorrow, so we got to be quick.
I'm trying to, but I got CJ interrupting me constantly as I'm trying to do the outro. Anyway, friends, if you've liked what you've heard, and how could you, because it's terrible, head over to patreon.com/P1 Podcast. Throw a few shekels our way. CJ needs to buy a standing desk.
Nope.
Yes, you can see Greg's standing desk is rising up right now if you're watching on the YouTubes. Either that or Greg is shrinking. I welcome both scenarios with open arms. There he is. He's stood up. Greg is now vertical, everyone. Let's give him a round of applause. You know what? If you are a Patreon friend of the $5 tier, you will gain access to a special bonus show every week where we play games, we have fun, we crack wise, we do all the things your mama said not to do. So tune in, friends.
Well, and also in this time of coronavirus and staying home, maybe you need extra podcast stuff. We're putting out older episodes of our after show. These are like 2 years. We have 2 years of after shows, basically.
Wow. I can't believe we've been doing it that long.
Seriously.
Putting those up on Fridays, so really Thursday night on the regular feed. So you may have already heard some of that, but those were from 2 years ago, and we have a huge backlog. If you are a Patreon, you get an RSS feed that you can plug into your podcast client and listen to the entire 2 years of those games.
But then you can get the fresh stuff too.
You get the fresh stuff too.
Patreon subscribing, you get fresh stuff.
Yeah.
Excellent. And if you have a couple bucks left over, head over to generation-16.com where you will find the Patreon link to help support Greg Stewart's outstanding, and it is outstanding, web series about North America's favorite runner-up, Sega Genesis.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Greg. Yeah, that's it. Let's get going on to the after show. CJ,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank you, Phil,
for this and that and the other.
Mm-hmm.
Gregory,
yo,
thank you very much for all the rest.
Thank you, Phil.
And of course, thanks to all of our lovely friends at home. We enjoy and endure each and every one of you. Please tune in next week where you'll hear CJ say,
nothing.
That's when you improvise something funny.
Baldness. I don't know.
We'll talk to him after the show, folks. Don't worry. Once we're off the air, we'll have a chat with him.
That's good.
See you at the
Stay
after
safe.
show, friendos. Yes, stay safe.
Oh,
Wash your
bye.
hands. Wash your
right.
hands.
Please
6 feet
do.
apart.
Well, don't wash your hands 6 feet apart. That's
Kind of
difficult.
weird.
Ah,
The water all over your bathroom that way.
yeah, well, bathroom needs to be clean too.
Yeah.
You
Bye,
haven't left the
everybody.
house in weeks. Bye-bye.